Let's see if our guests are as optimistic. Joining me right now on set, The Coming Collapse of China, author Gordon Chang, along with Stifel chief economist Lindsey Piegza. Good to see you both. Gordon, you're not as excited as the administration on this one. How come? What's missing from this basic framework? And I would just put in this caveat, don't you at least need to start with a basic framework?
Yeah, there's a lot that we don't know, and certainly this could turn out good. The thing that I'm concerned about, though, is, we've heard these promises from the Chinese more. We'll buy more goods, we'll protect your intellectual property, we'll create this level playing field, and it hasn't worked in the past. And the reason is, it's nice to think that we can have these cooperative discussions with China. But over the course of decades, what's found out is that the only time the Chinese move is when there are real costs on them. And remember, Trish, these guys are stealing hundreds of billions of dollars of intellectual property each year, somewhere between $225 to $600 billion. And that means all this delay works to their favor. So, of course, the Chinese are optimistic. And if you look at Chinese state media over the last couple of days, they're just ecstatic about this. Well, if they're ecstatic, that means we've got to be concerned.
That's a good point. Look, Lindsey, I don't have such a problem with the whole trade deficit concept because, hey, if we want to buy a ton of stuff from China, so be it. We buy a ton of stuff from China. What I do have a problem, however, with is the idea that we buy stuff and we don't charge a tariff, but vice versa, it doesn't work that way. So anything that goes over there is at a competitive disadvantage because they're slapping all kinds of tariffs on it. And I kind of think that one ought to be really front and center. And to Gordon's point, I don't think the media would be so psyched over there in China if, in fact, this was working the other way, knowing that it's state-controlled media.
Oh, absolutely. And to your first point, it is a very symbiotic relationship between the American consumer, which loves cheap goods from overseas, but just as much, China loves the idea that Americans are buying those cheap goods. So each side needs the other side to keep this relationship going. But the Trump administration has been very clear that they do want a level playing field, a fair trading relationship. And that's certainly not what we have right now. And it is a bit frustrating that we've been going through these negotiations for months now, and we've only come out with a very broad framework. As Gordon pointed out, we don't have any specifics in terms of the Chinese government committing to protecting intellectual property, as well as what level they're willing to reduce that deficit.
Gordon,
so
are we giving up anything
we
here?
Still need.
I mean, this so-called truce, what are we losing in this truce?
Well, we're losing time. But, obviously, if we're getting something in return, that would be great.
Are we losing any leverage?
I don't think so, because there's a lot of things going on. But the thing that really concerns me is that China has these industrial policies, Made in China 2025, their 13th five-year plan. These things continue while we talk. And so we do lose a little bit on that. The one thing we get on time is that we haven't relaxed the sanctions on ZTE, that embattled Chinese telecom equipment maker. And that is real leverage. But on the other hand, Qualcomm is getting hurt because they're not getting approval, which they should get approval, for their acquisition of NXP, the semiconductor company from the Netherlands. And so that's hurting our American companies.
Let me ask you a big picture thinking kind of question here. And this is basically just looking at the issue of globalism overall. Did we make a mistake allowing China to become as economically successful and powerful as it has? You remember Nixon in China, the whole idea is open China up, make it a member of the world economy, put it on the world stage, and, everybody will get along hunky-dory. And yet we're realizing, I think, that that's not entirely true, and it represents more of a threat. So did we make a mistake?
Well, we certainly made a mistake when we allowed China into the WTO, World Trade Organization, in 2001. They don't believe in comparative advantage. And if you have a big trader who has this mercantilist, predatory policies, and by the way, China's getting worse over the last 5 years, then it really disrupts everything. And it means that countries like the United States need to go outside of the WTO to protect ourselves. And that means this global trade architecture is really at risk because no one's going to, the WTO agreement is not a suicide pact. And that's what it's turning out to be for us.
Lindsey, you got to all play nice in the sandbox together, right? And if one of the players is not playing nice at all and throwing sand at the other, then, why would you play in that sandbox? In other words, I get that China is valuable to us and valuable to our corporations. But at some point, doesn't the federal government need to step in and say what is valuable to America, the country, fast forward for our future?
Well, there is a question of national security. We do want to be very careful when we talk about shipping all of our manufacturing base overseas. Certainly when we talk about the potential of shifting to a wartime economy, we want to have access to that materials production, that goods production. So there is a national security component here as well that we do need to take into account. But going back to your previous question in terms of did we make a mistake allowing China to grow, I think we made more of a mistake shifting our entire economy to a service-based economy and really foregoing that manufacturing base, which is key to keeping us competitive in the global marketplace.
Well, I guess then that gets us to the question of globalism itself, because if you're in a global economy, you are, given certain comparative advantages, you're going to move to the cheapest labor source and you're going to lose those manufacturing jobs. But look, we could talk about this all day. It is fascinating, right. Really interesting stuff. But let's not forget how much of an effect it all has on everybody's individual lives. Gordon, Lindsey, thank you very, very much.